All right. So, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 46 of the SparkCast.
It's
Joining me
actually like
today,
episode 48 between the like four takes it took. No.
you know, the people who are watching this on YouTube have no idea what you're talking about.
No.
So, we're going to pretend it didn't happen. But joining me today is Thomas from Team Dakota.
Hey guys, how you doing?
So, Thomas, how are things going around the office? Is this a quiet time or is it a busy time?
No, it's actually pretty busy, believe it or not. Like once we got, Conquer out the door, and so we're coming up on about a month ago. Like it was nice to that was like obviously the very, the first big push. But now we've been able to like switch gears and start working on other stuff, so it's actually really exciting. Um, as you guys know, the next big thing coming to Project Spark is a leaderboard. So a lot of the team is deep on that, and we can't wait to get it out there for you guys.
So, when's it coming?
Um, Very soon is the technical term that we're gonna go with.
But
We
you guys have an idea
it's
in mind. It's just that there's
yeah.
something.
I mean, it's definitely like a matter of weeks. It's not like months or anything like that. It's just mainly we don't want to give a hard date because there's some last things that are getting basically polished. Kind of echoing what Jeff Guy said on our stream um, that we did last or was it on Tuesday or his last Thursday? I think he was on. But yeah, and we're just finishing up a couple polishing stuff, so we don't want to give a date that ends up something slips. So that's why we're being coy about a date. But yep, it's gonna be very soon for sure.
Well, the date would be helpful because I do have that competition going.
Yeah,
And
well,
the end date is, depending on the leaderboard's release date. But you say it's a matter of weeks, not months. So
yeah,
soonish.
pretty soon, very soon.
As soon as you guys announce the date, I will announce the end date for the competition.
Yeah. How many
Uh,
entries you got so far?
I believe there are at least three people working on entries, but one has been submitted already.
Cool. That's right. I think I played that one. That was the KMK, and it was like a bucket, right? To catch
With
the different
the
food things.
icons, right?
Yeah, very cool.
So basically the idea of the competition is work in teams of two or three,
Yeah.
um, make it a fun game. So I would advise against 3D action adventure and using melee combat because those aren't fun. And have it be set up to have some kind of scoring system, whether it be time or points, so that when you guys get leaderboards, you'll be able to just plug it in there. And the winning team will all get leaderboards for free on launch day.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. To answer a couple of questions from chat, since I conveniently actually can read it, that's why if you're seeing me in camera stare that way, it's because I'm reading chat. So will there be new achievements? Not with the like next title update. When we have like leaderboards like together wrapped into it, there's not going to be achievements associated with it. There might be achievements later that come without leaderboards, but not right away. There won't be any tied to that. As far as yes, so leaderboards is the next pack we're coming with, and it also there is some content that's going to be available. To kind of we're going to go over that more in detail, like what content's there on tomorrow's content stream. So for those who don't know, we stream every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, and so join us if you want to see that tomorrow. But
You
if you
did
want to
have the
check out
teaser image out there, so we have some
yeah,
idea what's going on.
exactly. Yes, the teaser image is out there. I believe you guys have it up on .org, and I think we've tweeted it out too.
Right.
So yeah, check that out. That gives you a really good idea of what's going to be included in the pack. So, um, very cool stuff there. But of course, I think everybody's mostly excited about like the new code. That obviously the tile functionality and the whole scoreboard and then leaderboards. But yeah,
To give players encouragement to come back and be competitive against other users.
yeah. I mean, I don't know about you guys. Like, I think this is huge. Like, it's one of these things that now that I've been like able to play around with it, internally and check it out. Like, I wish I would have gotten in the game sooner. Right? We could say that about any feature or content, but this is definitely one that I'm very happy it's coming. Now, and it's the next thing that we get to talk about because I think it's definitely a game changer. Like, for 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 the creator experience, it offers like a lot of actually like new functionality being able to draw in that information from gamer, from players. This is a whole new competitive atmosphere you get to create that you haven't been able to do before, like pull information like that. And like as a creator, I can actually see the gamer tags of all these people who are playing my game. So I go on there, and after my creation on the forums, I can say, who actually ended up playing my game or not. Or, and I can, if people want to potentially, like, this person got a really high score, maybe I could, if they have any feedback for me, if they didn't leave me a comment, maybe I could message them on Xbox, like, he'd be able to do that. I don't know. It's going to be, like, that relationship that you're going to be able to, like, actually see the people playing your game through, like, leaderboards, I think is huge.
I was just waiting for you to stop talking so I could tell you that you turned into a robot. A blurred robot.
Robot?
Yep. So the call quality dropped, and you're all fragmented.
No! No! That sucks.
I remember there was this one person, they were baking these rolls, and they had cheese in them, and they were supposed to have smiley faces, but it ended up looking like souls that wanted to die because they had, like, things pushing out of their eyes, and tears of what turned out it was actually cheese but looking like other stuff. And that whenever you move, that's what kind of happens. Some of your face moves and then some of it doesn't, so it gets all distorted. It's great.
So is it still bad?
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious though.
Oh, well, I want to be able to talk.
Let me see, it might be the music that is doing it.
Oh, on my end, every looking thing looks fine, and I don't have like a notification of a problem.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but
let me look at this real quick. Oh, it says the connection speed between you is low.
it's getting slightly better. But in any event,
It says I should stop down. Like, I'm not doing anything in the background though. But
it's probably just a combination of Skype and all the other stuff you're downloading on company computers.
that's right. Yeah, that's true. I get all my pirating done.
And of course, Pepsi is probably seeking vengeance for unlicensed use of their products.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what's happening.
Well, it's fine now.
It's better. Okay.
Yeah. So
So,
the question, I guess, is how much is our leaderboards going to cost?
Oh, well, that's not the question I was answering before when I was buffering.
No, but I couldn't hear what you were saying, so this is the next question.
Yeah, and I'll kind of repeat so people can understand what I'm saying. So cost to be determined and to be announced. We definitely have a number like in mind, but we're playing around with it. It's not like set in stone yet. But the numbers that we're talking about, personally, I think they're pretty fair. I really think leaderboards is going to be a really cool pack, and it's like one of those, like, I put it along with like Epic Artist and in Massive World Builder. Like, they're kind of like not can't miss packs for creators. I mean, it depends on what you're into, but I think from any kind of game making perspective, like, I think almost all games are going to be able to benefit from leaderboards in some form or fashion. So it's going to be really cool. It's going to be, I think, one that everybody's going to want to get day one if they can.
Well, so far the other feature packs have helped change what a creator can create. This seems to just be a more for the players type thing than it is for the creators themselves.
Well, and that's what I thought when I was talking about, like, before, when I was buffering. Like, that's what I think, like, even from the creator perspective, like, there's so much you get with this pack. Like, you're able to see players actually, like, engaging and playing your game. Like, you're getting information from that leaderboard, and, like, you get to see how far people get in your game. You can see, like, what kind of scores people are achieving, and you're actually able to, like, almost have that as another source of feedback, and information, right? You can see how many people actually get to, like, the end of the game, right? Like, because you actually get to control in your leaderboard setup, how, when the score gets posted. So if you want to do it by checkpoints, I mean, you can, like, see how far people get in your game before they decide to, I'm tired of this and want to get out of it. Like, I mean, that's very useful feedback to see, like, I need to make this part more interesting, or I'm losing a lot of people on stage 3 of my 6th level game.
So
I don't know. I just think it's awesome.
how many statistics can leaderboards track per level?
So that's so it depends on. I mean, in the end, right? The only thing that posts on the leaderboard itself is either a time or a score. Um, but the way that you can get more information out of that, right, is by like when you decide to have people post it. So, if you want to only post at certain checkpoints through your video, I mean, that tells you where that player ended up in the game on top of the fact. So you basically kind of get a win function out of it, and then you can also get the hard number.
Okay.
I mean, depends on how you set up your score, but you could have it where you're at least getting that two chunks of information out of it.
Have you guys decided what features you guys are going to be working on next?
Um,
You don't have to tell me
I
what they
mean,
are, but
yeah, I mean, we're working on that. So one thing that like me and Brian have been working on is kind of tabulating and getting like as much of the feature requests that have been floating around out there like organized. So we're like actually been going back through like all of the feature request forum and just like reading through it to see what people have been really asking for. And it's actually really funny. Let me see if this list is here or not.
oh, you're actually going to share it with us.
I'm not going to share
Yes, you are.
I mean, I can talk about some of the stuff I've seen on it.
Yeah. So, like, what are the some of the top requests, and like how I don't know how feasible are they for them to be the next feature?
Nah, the folder's not in here. Anyway,
Oh,
but like, so off the top of my head, it's like really funny. So the top the top requested like feature or like not con. So we separated into there's like content requests and feature requests. So content's like I want this theme or that theme or this type of new asset. So those are
mhm.
content, and then features are like we think like leaderboards or texture scrolling or anything like that. Um, so the top one like by like double is really funny. It's actually editing or deleting like your text variables.
Okay then.
Believe it or not.
That sounds like a $50 pack to me. That should take like 30 years for you guys to finish.
Yeah, I mean like, and I don't know why anybody would disagree with that. Like I mean when I jump in, so like this is like a fun thing that just information for you guys. So when I'm looking at curating levels, I obviously it's really time consuming to go through and like play everything to make sure, but like a shortcut that I can do to make sure I don't miss anything is go in like in edit mode, right, and check the text variable like wheel, and just make sure there's no dialogue or anything like that
Hmm.
that's offensive. Um, like I immediately see why there's a need to like delete and edit text variables because I can see where somebody misspelled something like three times and it's in there like and takes up and all of a sudden they have like 35 pages of text variables
Yeah,
like
I think if you edit the text variable, you kind of remove the need to delete them.
yeah, I mean there it kind of just depends on I mean
I mean, some
yeah,
people want to clean them up, but I don't know. Personally, that never really bothered me that I have a bunch of excess ones in there so much as um,
but they're useless and
y-
right so editing it would make it help like
if it was affecting performance, then yes, I can understand saying yes, I want to get rid of those variables, but it just seems to be clutter, and clutter doesn't bother me too much, especially if you were to look around my house.
Yeah, no, at least for me personally, I'd like to like anything that's not getting used, I would like to get like not have to see it or like skip through those pages.
So, because it's the most requested thing, does that push it up the list as far as priorities go, or is it just because a lot of people asked for it doesn't mean it's gonna be the first thing we work on?
Yeah, so there's always I mean anything has like an asterisk, right? So I mean just to let you guys know, like for me and Brian, like we definitely consider that definitely one of our like priorities and something we advocate for and like would like to see get fixed. As being like a top request. But like when we think about what features we're gonna do, it's a combination of like what we're hearing from, just on the forums, it's a combination of like, Team Dakota, like in the thoughts here from leadership and what they want to do. I mean, obviously we're also a group inside Microsoft, so there's conversations at the leadership level there about like what direction they like to see Project Spark go to. I mean, there's a lot of factors that get into like what feature set's going to be coming.
So, what are the other some of the top requests? Like maybe for like the bigger features as opposed to the
Yeah,
tiny
so like
stuff.
I mean another really high one is independently scaling props, X, Y, or Z, direction. So you basically could stretch them or turn them into different shapes by doing that.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, I mean, you could you could make some crazy stuff, but I mean, the thing with that, I mean, it's a challenge. Like, obviously, super cool if it works. Obviously, you're messing with like the textures and the wrapping, and things could get look ugly super fast. Not that,
Well,
I mean,
terrain
obviously,
tint lets you do the same thing, though.
yeah, exactly. Like where you can stretch it dynamically in different ways. Exactly. And and people have been able to show that it can be used in really creative ways. So,
Right, just
I
because
mean,
something can be done really poorly doesn't mean that it shouldn't be done at all by anybody.
I agree. No, I'm in the camp of the more tools and options we give creators, like the better. Like, even if they can do something that harms it, right? Like we don't stop you from adding 2,500 goblins in your level if you want to, but that doesn't mean your game's going to be great. Like,
It
but
means you're gonna crash the desktop.
yeah, um, we don't, but there's a expectation of like we're gonna do this, give you that freedom to do that. We don't like limit characters to 50, even though if you go past whatever amount, depending if they're moving or attacking or whatever, and it makes the game like not a great experience. But we allow you to discover that on your own.
And, who thought that coloring all your characters bright yellow wouldn't look great, but you let us do it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like I think that flexibility is really important because you get like, I mean, you get new and original stuff. So, I mean, I'm all for like really empowering like creators in that way. And that's at least that's what I advocate for.
One of the
That's
other frequent requests, I think, is kind of similar to this, is the manipulation of the paintbrushes.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's on there too. That's another pretty high one. Is like so like one thing at least that like we can't do yet, and I like is one of the things that I was like asking for, and at least like how our engine works is just not feasible yet, unless they would have to spend a lot more time on it. Is like smaller,
Yeah,
terrain brushes. Like
right.
I personally would love to be able to do like smaller voxel manipulation, um, and it just would be awesome. But
Because I don't know if you're
that
familiar with Landmark or not, but that is like the extreme of precise voxel
Exactly, yeah, you can like
manipulation.
you like build like items and like little structures, and you can get to really like detailed like any icicles off of like a roof
Right.
in
But I want to
voxel.
caution everybody on who looks at that and thinks that, oh, that's cool, we can do that too. That takes months of watching videos to be able to do anything other than a column. So it's very intensive what they're asking you to do. Whereas with Spark, the flexibility is being able to freeform move the controller. You cannot move with a controller in Landmark. You have to click and drag boxes, and then click fill, subtract, and you know all sorts of really bizarre techniques to shape things in ways that you don't think you would have to. It's very interesting. Like there is no rating in Landmark, but you have to watch hours of videos nonstop, back to back, in order to be able to do something as simple as make a ring. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, exactly. And that, obviously for our use case, right, and for Team Dakota, that's not the vision of Project Spark. Needing to spend hours upon hours to get like a basic functionality of sculpting like a ring out. Like we want to be able to pick up and let go. That's like the huge concept and core of our
you do
game.
lose some precision in that and some attention to detail, but I think the amount of
Yeah,
effort you
it's
guys save
the
is.
accessibility. Yeah, it's the accessibility like concept basically. Let me look at chat just because I haven't looked at it. Uh,
Yeah, Mascad thinks that watching videos is what everyone wants. Well, why aren't you making any more videos, Mascad? Why did you stop?
right. That's pretty funny. Yeah, no. So I mean, that's on there. Trying to think of other really high ones. But as regard in like so with terrain, like being able to rotate the brushes, like right. So obviously, when you have this cube, it's like based off the grid, and that's like you can't like turn it at an angle or turn it 45 degrees or anything like that. So there's like been lots of requests for that. I mean, obviously, it can be difficult to do like ramps and slopes and
Right.
things like that without being able to angle it. So
I was actually trying to
there's
replicate the painting in the the concept art in the background of this stream, using the brushes we have, and it's not easy to make something that's free flowing and diagonal.
Yeah, exactly. No, I even so this idea came to me. It's not anything that anybody's like requested, and I don't think it's possible actually with our voxel engine, but I haven't ran that by anybody. But I thought it would be really cool. So you know how like there's Cubify, right, which like squares everything up and like gives you the Minecraft look. I want to have like a voxel brush that like basically hardens. Like I think of it as softening and hardening is like the opposite. And so like it just makes it like angular and makes it like harder looking. So like it turns
Like
our
crystallized.
yeah, where we have like our brushes now are pretty much like Play-Doh-y, right? Like and
Hmm.
they intentionally like that's how our voxel shapes are like. But I think it would be really cool to be able to just like the same way that people go through their worlds and roughen it up and make it like, kind of gnarly looking. If you could go in and like just harden it and give it like basically give it shape and angle to it so everything just doesn't feel soft. Like I think that
Jagged, yeah.
yeah, I think that would be the coolest like terrain like thing ever. I think that's like one of my biggest like wants in our current terrain system is I'd love to be able to, feel like it's like just has that edge to it that like our artists talk about that when we do the design streams where they feel like they have to insert a bunch of props in there all the time to get the edges that they want
Hmm.
and like that definitive look. And I feel like that kind of like hardening to the terrain would be like awesome, but I don't, in my mind it works. I
No, I
probably
understand what you're saying. That
yeah.
yeah, you have a sharp diagonal angle,
Hmm.
diagonal angle. There we
Hmm.
go, and have that be done with a straight line as opposed to cubify, which would be the steps, right?
Yeah, exactly, or whatever.
Or even
Yeah,
if you were to have
it
something
would
more,
basically it would like insert like planes, random planes like throughout it, and then like sharpen the edges between them.
sure.
So I don't know. That's just but it's never been requested before.
The
But
other thing that just came to mind was actually smaller cubes when you cubify.
oh,
So you'd
like
still
to
have
actually
more,
change the shape of it.
yeah. So you'd have more cubes per inch or whatever it is.
Yeah. Hmm.
And of course, persistent saves is one of the things that's come up, but that's
Yep.
also kind of already doable with the Massive World Builder pack.
Yeah.
It's just not
So
streamlined.
saves are interesting. Saves are like actually a really top request, and I was surprised. That was actually something I, I thought. Like, I mean, I know the like campaign tile and the level linking thing isn't like super ideal for like people like want to like obviously when you're comparing our platform to like other games like on Xbox or PC or they have like these seamless auto saves that don't even interrupt the game. That's also another feature request by the way of the stopping not freeze
Hmm.
on the auto save. Try I would love that too. But like people want to be able to like have this like probably the same way that people think of the post score that we're gonna have in leaderboards, right? Where playing the game you don't even know it, but like something it posts your score to the server, right, and then records that score,
Hmm.
like in the same way that you'd be able to post your current game state to the server or whatever.
And be able to come back to that whenever.
Yep.
But if somebody wanted to make it more complex and have save points, they could do that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like where you'd be able to actually like have it, checkpoints and saves and you wouldn't have to reload back to a level and keep track of everything by a campaign table. One second, I'm gonna plug this computer in. I forgot to.
Okay. So I'm going to take this opportunity to plug one of my own articles, which
It came
was
up with the warning on the battery. It was like you only have 10% left, and I'm like, oh no.
yeah.
But now it's better. Oh, the screen's so much brighter too.
But I was going to talk about the importance of 2D and the lack of support thereof in Spark, where pretty much everything is built to support 3D games, and you have to really force the engine to think in terms of 2D, and you don't really gain all that much for reducing one of the dimensions. What I'm the wording for it? The performance doesn't increase that much by excluding an entire plane because you're not actually excluding it; you're just ignoring it manually.
Yeah, no, I understand exactly what you're saying. Yeah, there's definitely been requests, strong, particularly strong from Moose, from you, but no, there's a lot of people who'd love to see like more dedicated like 2D features and things that support like 2D genres of game. I mean, just like Invasion 2 is a prime example of like an awesome 2D game, right? And partially because of their choice to go to 2D, it makes it feel totally not like a game in Spark.
Well, it's easier to
Um,
make good 2D games than it is to make a good 3D game.
yeah, I wholeheartedly like agree with that. And what's cool about 2D is you can like see our props and use them in way more interesting ways because you don't have to think of, you can like present only this basically whatever view you want to it.
Right.
Because but you're taking it out of the you basically control the camera for the character, so they like lose that option of being able to basically peek behind the curtain and see actually how many props and things you have submerged behind it or that
Right,
you're
right.
creating the illusion from or whatever.
Yeah, the backside doesn't ever show. I
Hmm.
think Reeb said it best when he was playing Invasion 2.
Unfortunately, I have to end it there. Unfortunately, I have to end
On the stream.
Yeah, so I was just
Right.
playing the sound clip.
Oh, I
Uh,
couldn't hear it.
yeah, no, you can't. But I hope everybody else on chat did. But it, it was the only game I've seen where people in the studio said, "I want to keep playing this even though we're at the deadline."
Right,
And
yeah.
Reeb did that twice. So
Yeah,
I
no,
think that's
that game's awesome, and it's in the Hall of Fame feed. We're really, I mean, as far as I know, the creator's still charging him a laser. He's still working away at like adding to it and fixing bugs and things like that,
and
which
his
we're
next
super
game,
excited.
which is
Yep.
like a Mark of the Ninja type game.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, no, we can't wait. I mean, obviously that. Uh, I mean, between that and like he also did the Cube right for Game Jam.
Hmm.
Really talented creator, and we're stoked. Like, I mean, I personally like Invasion. Definitely, I think rose the bar a bit. Just as far as like a complete like experience. I mean, he has like cheat codes and like secret levels, and I mean that the depth that's there. Like, it's not, I mean, there's all this stuff in there that you wouldn't even have to have, and it's still a great game. And then there's like all of that on top of it, like between like the achievements, like that's like with the achievement system and the cheat codes. That's why I'm like, I even asked him on the forums. I was like, "Oh, you gotta implement like a save system or something, so I can. This is a game I want to come back to, and like fill out my, get all the achievements, keep unlocking all the secrets, and like spend, you can spend 4 hours on that game. Like if you wanted to play through every single different version and check out the ships and stuff.
Hmm. It
Um,
reminds me a lot of Gradius Fox, but he spent probably a bit more time on it. Well, he has a bunch more functionality and features to it to work on it with as well. Whereas Gradius Fox was made in the middle of beta, like actually around the time of PAX East last year.
yep.
So I was happy to see it. And I was happy to play through it because I enjoy those types of games.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it was like on Friday last week. It was really funny because we showed it on stream, and all these people were like, "Oh, I'm gonna check this out." And so like Friday afternoon, I'm like looking at desk, and I think I saw about 3 or 4 different team members playing Invasion too.
Sounds about right.
Yep, at the end of the night, it was pretty funny.
And he was the one who specifically asked me to, before the SparkCast, bring up 2D and force you guys to say that it is on the top thing you guys are going to work on.
Yeah, I mean, no forcing necessary about that. Like, I mean, it's on the top requests from the community. That's definitely something me and Brian advocate for is better support there. And like it's just far as like and I always when I think 2D, I'm always also thinking like it's UI. It's like the same. Anything that helps you with 2D is also going to help you with like you make UI better too.
Hmm.
Um,
And also with combat, because 2D combat requires a lot more customization to function in that space. But that would also help 3D games, should anybody want to use melee combat in 3D.
mhm.
Being able to walk and attack at the same time, for example, as opposed to always going lunge forward, yet, ah, ah, and just going, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Yeah, you can like one thing that I like typically will do with attack emotes or like attacks and stuff. I'll just like set the position to stay the
Right.
same. so they like stay in place.
Yeah, but that's forcing them to stand still, so they can't actually walk or transition between jumping and standing still or anything like that while attacking.
Yeah, I mean, you could try to um, basically manually like update the position, right?
Yeah, then you mess with the animations and it kind of looks funky.
Yeah, it would. I mean, I'm messing around with that kind of stuff right now for my own like stuff I'm just working on for fun. But uh, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not perfect by any means.
But there's also like I think a larger feature requests out there, like a music editor, a UI editor.
Yeah, I mean, there's a request for an editor for like any like subsystem basically within like, I mean, in the end, there's like an ID. There's like there's a 2D UI editor requests, which is these are all really high. There's animation editor requests, like wanting to like make your own animation and not have to rely on Connect.
Mhm.
There's high requests for music editor. Build your own music kind of thing. I mean, these are all like huge pillars. But yeah, they're all requests that people have definitely made.
And we're gonna see those in the next month.
Oh yeah, for sure. No.
Confirmed.
I mean, those are all things that take tons of dev work. But we want to tackle. I mean, we're going through and we're tackling what we can. Um, and I mean, I'm super stoked with like. I mean, so for I can talk a little bit to this. I can't talk very much about any of this, but like Conquer was like a huge thing we wanted to get out. But as soon as Conquer got done, like it was definitely like just discussions about where we want to see like Project Spark go in the future. Kind of like the way you think about it is like it's called roadmap discussions. So it's like where are we heading toward, and kind of setting the pillars that are going to be for the next year of Spark or whatever.
So that's how far out you guys are thinking, like 1 year out.
Well, I mean, we're just I mean, ballparking. I mean, for all I know, we're talking 5 years out. It just depends. We're talking about like things that we're talking about the direction we'd like to see Project Spark go. And so those are discussions that we're having now like internally, and it's really exciting to be part of that. And I
We would like to be part of it too, by the way.
Yeah, and you guys definitely are. That's what um
We
like
just
that's
don't know it, I guess.
yeah, I mean, tabulating all those feature requests and stuff, we're not doing that for no reason. I mean, we're doing that because we want that data as we're having these discussions so the team is more informed.
I think it would just be nice to have the public be an active participant as opposed to a secret participant. Whereas we don't actually know we're participating in it so much as we're just shouting everything at you and hoping that you're listening.
I mean, you guys should know you're definitely like, I mean, it is an active participation. I mean, we can't like, the thing is we don't want to, the hard part, right, is we can't say this is what we're going to do. And then it's basically making promises and stuff like,
No, we
and
like
then,
promises.
huh?
We like promises, though.
I know that. Well, that's the thing. So I mean, we don't like you don't want to communicate it to like a larger audience and to everybody out until like we can deliver, right? So we've always held true to that with like content packs, right? Like leaderboards.
Well, I would
you know,
argue that's actually a downside because with some props, we actually knew they were coming for a long time and we were excited for them. And we weren't like saying we want you to release them before they're finished. We're saying, is this finished yet? It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And if you
Yeah,
guys
I know
released
you're.
it out far enough in advance and maybe kept us up to date on what things were, and we saw things shifting around, then we wouldn't have to ask every month, when's UI editor coming? When is the music editor coming? When is adjustable brush sizes coming? Or
Yeah,
shapes
no,
coming?
I understand that perspective too. And it depends on like the roadmap discussions, like that just isn't practical because they're not like at a point yet where there's even like concrete enough things to do that with. But like me and Brian are both talking about like the release cadence and about like how we're communicating that. I mean, we're talking about how early we can get like those conversations like started with the community. Um,
So that we can actually have input before they're finalized, but not a discussion before the discussion is ready for it.
yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, when we get to we want to be like when that conversation starts, it's at a place where we can actually like use the feedback we're getting versus like it's so early, like it's just like you know throwing stuff against a wall, like where it's not going anywhere. Like there's like an optimum time. So, but me and Brian are both like we want to change. We want to. That's something we're working on and like thinking about like for future going forward, how we can make this better.
So that we can have 2D as soon as possible. That's what you're saying, right?
That's what you're saying.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, just so that you guys know that we want cards, and by we I mean everybody, not just me. Cards for everything, so that we can make.
Cards are so that's actually a good segue. So I just kind of talked about like kind of feature requests, but there's also like a ton of different content. So there's like been content asked for like giant spiders or spider rig. There's been I don't know which one's the top. The one that they were joking about in chat before is yes, there was a feature request for the like 1966 version of Batman. No other types of Batman, but that Batman.
Well, of course, you get the comic stuff.
Yeah, but I mean it's funny because it's like I mean it's not that's not likely in any scenario, but it is on our list. Like we're like going through and trying to grab anything. There's been requests for like a Willy Wonka biome.
Well, that would be kind of interesting, but I don't know if I would want it.
Right. I mean, it would lead to interesting stuff, right? But I mean, so there's like it's all over the place.
Warhammer
but, I mean,
40K.
There's definitely like some common like content requests that people have like rallied around.
I think the most common request is for the Warhammer IP to be integrated in.
No, that's definitely up there.
Number
just
one.
The amount of times it gets mentioned, I think it's like.
I guess you guys, as long as you guys aren't counting who's saying it, it's number one.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. If you count.
Uh-oh. We just lost you briefly.
Oh no.
All right, now you're back.
Okay. Yeah. No, if you're counting by instances mentioned, I think Warhammer is number one by a huge amount.
And so, but actually, talking serious about cards, like, do you guys have any idea of like how much support you guys will be giving to cards, or were they just a occasional one-off? Here's something for the background type thing.
It honestly hasn't been decided yet. I mean, I can tell you what my preference is, because why not? I would like to see, like starting out, right? It wouldn't be like a huge, like it wouldn't be like a set of 50 cards, like, at least that's in my mind. That's not how it would go down. I see it as like a smaller pack of like 8 to 12 cards, that are super useful for a lot of creators and really like low cost. In my mind, right? So no promises or
Like
anything.
a $2 pack to get those.
Yeah, not in even maybe like 100 tokens, 200 tokens or something. But like those 8 to 12 cards would be like super helpful for everybody.
And you could make an entire game just out of those 8 to 12, just to show that it's actually a viable way to make a game out of.
I mean, I don't know if that would be like internally. I don't think that would be like our necessarily our goal is to like have a complete game set out of the 8 to 12 cards. I would think we would definitely go back to that really good forum thread that got started about the type of cards that we would want to see, and touch on a lot of kind of the things that we think would really augment what creators are trying to do now, like in their games. And now, if you could take those, and it'd be great if you'd be able to take those and make your own, like set a game out of the cards that we have. I don't see why you probably wouldn't be able to do that. It probably would have obviously things that are missing that you would really want in it.
So Faultless brings up a good point, like a skyline or a background with a card.
Yeah, I number one use case that I see for cards that would be helpful for everybody right now at this moment are backdrops, and I think it'd be great to have like at least like a set of 2 for like each biome, so you have like an awesome like just like background of a forest that you can kind of put like behind, and like if you take that and like blow it up and then like set it off like on your horizon line, it like when you have like the atmosphere.
So you don't just have a big blue sky covering
or
half
like
the screen.
like it's obviously super immersion breaking where like you come out and look, I can see like my square water like
I can see the border. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you can have it actually wait about breaking that up and make your world just feel actually like more grounded, I think that would do a lot for creators, and it would be way faster than trying to like do some funky terrain, sculpting and stuff to try to.
Rick brings up another cool point. What about card characters? Is that ever a possibility? Like where you could have a card that walks and like maybe will have an attack animation?
Um, I don't, to be honest, I mean, I don't believe like that would be the priority one with like version one of cards, of getting like a character with like attack emotes.
But could
I
it be
know we do
functional,
have,
like a
yeah,
sprite?
yeah, exactly. It'd be like a more like sprite. I'm sorry, I'm like looking at chat. Yeah, like yeah, with like characters, like I mean, we have the Void Storm, which is like animated,
Hmm.
but it's not obviously like that animation compared to like a card character would be totally different, and obviously the character would be a lot more involved. Um, but
But I
I mean,
imagine
that's a
that would
really
be cheaper to
interesting idea.
produce than a 3D model character anyway.
Say that again.
That it would be cheaper to produce a card character than it would be to produce a 3D model character.
Oh, well, yeah, for sure. It's just more about like use cases. Like, I mean, right? If a card character would have a definitely have a harder time getting used like you could take a 3D character and like using 2D and stuff. You can make a 2D game with like a 3D character. That's how people do it now.
Sure.
But it would be pretty tough to go from a card character and try to like incorporate him in your 3D.
Hey, Paper Mario did it.
Yeah, well, yeah, they have like the dimension where, but it's still like, isn't Paper Mario still like a 2D game though?
There is a 2.5D aspect to it.
Yeah, I mean you can go. There's some depth to the scenes, but it's still like fixed cameras, right? You don't get to like orbit around the entire scene and look at like the backsides and stuff.
Corey brings up another point. What about dynamic creation of cards? Like saving a screenshot as a card, or putting together props and taking a screenshot of it, and then having that screenshot be a card.
Yeah, I mean, so the card generation, I like really think that idea is cool. It's something that I thought about pretty early too, like being a UI fan, but like how cool would it be if I could just take this and then like get it on a card and then like actually bring it into like the 3D world, like right? That makes a huge thing, like so like right, one of the card requests is like kind of like signage, or like I want to have just a card that says shop so I can like, or like a sword so I can just put it on,
Sure.
or whatever. But like right, you could do your text however you want to do that, and then like save it out as a card, or it would probably be, I mean, this is like in my mind, this is the user case scenario of like you save it as like a, instead of assembly, we had this idea of like assemblies
Hmm.
right now with props. So you'd be able to actually save like a UI elements as like an assembly. So like 2D basically assemblies, and then that gets saved out as a card, and you could bring that in and like into your 3D world. And at that point, you could like as a single item like put it on whatever you want, and then like so I mean that to me that goes hand in hand with like a more full-fledged like 2D 3D or 2D UI editor. Like I think of like, taking whatever you do and saving it out, right, and gluing potentially like UI elements together or whatever, and like making a card like that would be all like I would hope to be like in version one of one. It would probably take version four, but
Yeah.
of the 2D UI editor.
So, how much talk has there been of creating the UI editor? Is that one of the more talked about features that you guys are working on, or because it sounded like that's where you were going with that?
I mean, I can like there. I mean, I can tell you right now, it's not like I mean, it's actively talked about like as we're talking about roadmap stuff without a doubt. Like, but there's no like current because we're talking about roadmap, right? That means and we're forming the roadmap. That means it's like not it. There's no dev time like getting worked on it until it ends up on our roadmap until like they're saying like this is going to be the pillar.
So it's not in production.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Okay.
it's not currently getting produced.
Is anything currently being produced, or is this like a dead time where you just are planning?
No, yeah, no. There's plenty of stuff getting worked on.
Just
I mean,
bug fixes,
like
or
obviously like leaderboards is
well, that's
right
done.
around the corner.
That's basically done. You guys are just polishing it up, right?
Oh yeah, basically done. I mean, it's pretty much wrapped up, yeah. But there's polish going into it. But obviously, like there's other stuff that is on the roadmap that or that's not even. It's like I always think roadmaps like far out, but there's stuff like obviously like through the next couple whatever time period that we
But
have.
are you guys actively working on something that's while you're doing the planning process for the rest of
Yeah,
the
of
roadmap?
course. Yeah, yeah. I mean, so you have different people doing different discussions, right? So, I mean, we have obviously devs like talking about the roadmap stuff, but like there's still work being done every single day. Like it's not like everybody just does roadmap discussion until we figure it out. Like we have stuff we're doing, in the more near term that's are going to happen for sure.
And what is it?
When did you like to know?
Yes, yes, that's why I asked.
Right.
No. Um, is there a time frame in mind for like when the next feature will be released roughly? Like is it 2 months out, 4 months?
No, I mean, not anything I can talk about. I mean, the big
You
things
can, you'll just probably get fired, but that's okay.
leaderboards is the next feature set of stuff getting like added for creators, without a doubt. So that is the feature of looking forward to right now. Um,
Well, we're looking for many features, but that one's the one that's like the closest.
yeah, I got you. Exactly. So you guys are funny because when it's the closest, it's like, oh, all right, cool, that's good. Let's talk about the stuff that's not coming.
Well, yeah, we're
Or,
ravenous for new
yeah.
stuff. It's like once a month we get a little drop of something to get our attention, but by the time it arrives, we're already like, all right, we already know everything about it because of all the streams. But next one, what's next?
No, I know exactly. Well, I think there'll be plenty to. I think people are gonna find really creative uses of leaderboards, and I think that's gonna be the talk of the town for like the first week about like how this new system. It's kind of like level linking, right? And all the things people were able to figure out, like the save states and all that. Like I think there's a lot of really neat things you can do with leaderboards.
Are you gonna tell us about this stuff, like in a stream, or are you expecting us to find it on our own?
Oh, well, I mean, there's gonna be stuff that you guys discovered that we had like no intention. I mean, one thing that me and Brian already we've like brought it up like on stream, I think too, is how like with like players getting high scores, right, and you being able to take those 10 scores and like import them into your game at runtime. I mean, there's interesting scenarios where those scores actually affect the play experience for everybody else, right? So you can have like whenever somebody has the highest score of your game reaches a certain number, like the game changes for everybody else, right? You could have, I mean, however crazy ways that people are able to store information in a number set, basically. I mean, you could have several things get changed in your level based on what the high score ends up being. Like I was thinking, like a number could be like how like Minecraft has like unique identifiers as seeds for like a world.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could have some kind of way of like where that score or that system ends up being like the seed that generates everybody else's like as maybe the randomizer, right? So whoever's the top score is the person who's generating is like setting the generation number for everybody else's play experience until that gets like replaced. I mean, there's so many different scenarios.
And there's some talk about bug fixing in chat. That reminds me. Uh, One of the other top features has to be a debugger or code comments.
Oh yeah, that's definitely up there too.
So these,
I think of the things that just this is just an FYI. Like for all the things we brought about, they're like pretty much all in the top 20 of the stuff we've talked about.
so
They're
I'll have
all
them the next 20 months.
right. Yeah, one a month. Um, but yeah, code comments and like I mean, those are definitely like I would say they're two different beasts to tackle.
But they're
Um,
close. They serve
they're both
common
related
purposes.
for yeah. But yeah, like code comments for sure, and a debugger of like which
Seeing all your real-time variables in the level, so you don't have to keep going through and adding the display tile for all of them.
yeah, I'm doing that. I'm doing that right now actually. So I've gone back onto like my Gears character, which was such a disaster back when I didn't know how to play Project Spark very well. And I'm like going in and trying to fix him, and I'm also like making him a multi-brain character. like more modular, so I can like take apart things that I like and not like, and be more iterative with like the process of like working on him. But I have like this full debugger now of basically keeping track of like it has so my debugger has like menus in the debugger of switching between like different things, and it has like basically I can toggle on and off booleans when I want to test different things, and then it also displays like what's true, what's false, and anything that's basically happening I can like see it. So and obviously it takes time to do that, but I mean you can do it. So that's I mean that's at least there's things available now that people you can go in and do your own debugging. I think if there was a debugger, it would be I mean it would depend. I see a debugger, like for instance you'd be able to go in and like search across your like level different things. That would be super helpful, right? So you could be like, which objects have the post score from the post score tile that's getting introduced in our leaderboards pack, and you'd be able to like queue and find all those objects like by a search, or like I know that this variable is broken, but I don't know which object it's in, and be able to like find it that way, or at runtime figure out like this object is what's slowing, is like causing all my performance problems and stuff, like narrowing it down that way. But I don't know, they're all like cool things. But
Well, Corey says he would do horrible things for a proper debugger. So I suggest that he draw up the specs for a debugger. Like, what would he like out of a debugger, rather than just saying the word
yeah,
debugger?
like I would like to, like I think a good way of like this is actually a good thing with any of those super meaty feature requests, right? Like those like 2D UI editors and those animation editors, the way they kind of break them down is like, what is like in my version 1 type of that, like what is the must have? Like in order to have this get shipped, what does this need to have? Like absolutely, like bare minimum of like what it would have to be a product. And then at that point, you like think about like what are the nice to haves. So what are the things that I can live without but not very much, and then you kind of like have a priority list of like and they're broken up by that. Like this is what it has to have, this is what it would be nice to have, this is like where if you get to it, great. If not, no one, we're not that worse off. So like having that for the debugger, all good things. Like anybody, like this is just a great suggestion. Like anybody right now, if you have feature requests or things you want to see like added to the game, this is a great time. This like basically next month and a half, like these are great times. This is a great time to be posting and giving your feedback to us. So,
in details, rather than just in vague terms.
In details. So jump on that feature request forum and let us know what you want in game, basically, because it's a really good time for that.
Are you playing out your content as well, or is it just features that you're talking about here?
Oh, and features. Content's a little bit more. I can definitely say like we have a more definitely idea like content wise. Our current roadmap goes a lot further than like the feature set. The feature set's like the one that we're more focusing on right now. But content is also super helpful. But yeah, that one, the content roadmap is definitely more filled out on our end.
All right, so you personally, as a creator, not as Team Dakota, as Z-Targ, right?
Yes.
What feature do you want most?
Oh,
if you were to get one of them first, which one would it be?
If I could do oh man, if I could do a feature, I'm trying to think. There's a couple. Well, it's really hard to pick.
Well, you guys are gonna have to eventually, aren't you?
Yeah, luckily, I'm not the end person who has to make those hard decisions. It's above my pay grade. Well, I would say there's two. I'm gonna pick two.
That's fine.
I can't really pick. If I was gonna, so number one thing I would do if I could, just for the one project I'm doing, which is Gears or whatever, which I don't really. It's just something I poke around when I want to create, and just challenge
get on with
myself. It's my favorite. It's like my favorite project to go to when I want to like run into problems immediately on trying to figure out what I want to do. So, but like that one, like it would be crouching animations. I would just love crouching animations.
So advanced character animations, basically. So crouching, climbing, that sort of
Yeah, I
sweet.
mean, yeah, I mean, obviously that whole set would be like super nice, but yeah, and specifically, I would want like crouching slash the way I think about it's crouching slash sneaking animations. Like the character who like bends down or like is like hiding behind cover
Cover,
and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, um, and I just think like having that whole set would be like so cool. Not even for like your third person shooters, but like and then like all the I love stealth games and games that reward players for not having to immediately go to combat.
What was the name of that? Styx, the Goblin one. It came out recently. It
I
was
don't know.
pretty
I
good.
haven't played that one,
Oh, you may
honestly.
want to check it out. It's a game based almost entirely around stealth. You can fight your way through it, but you'll probably die a
Gotcha.
lot.
I think of like oh man, like just some I don't know. I always play. It's like when I in Elder Scrolls and stuff. Like I always play a thief character. Like I always do stealth. I and like Dark Brotherhood is the very first quest line. Like I go
Hmm.
to complete that in or in the Thieves Guild. They're like always the
Right.
best.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're the leader of both by the time the game's over, so.
Yeah, and the Mages Guild and the Fighters Guild, and you're also the champion of the arena.
Yeah, it just. And everybody knows who you are all the time, even though they've never seen you before.
Yep. But I
And
don't
the
know.
second
I
feature?
think, yeah, like having that. So well, just like the crouch animations and stuff, that just adds like to me that adds like a whole other genre of gameplay, that hasn't like been done super well like yet. Like I think like having like a whole you would open up third person shooters and like this and stealth genres like huge if you had those.
And you said you had a second feature in mind for your.
Yeah, and then the other one would definitely be just because I'm a huge UI. I love so 2D UI editor is really high up for my own want list.
Okay, I'll let you live.
Yeah, no, I mean it's true. Like, and it's funny because like that is I think that's actually not that would not be like the first pick for some people, and I know it's the first pick for you, but for me by far like even like I just think you like people who really invest the time and put their stuff in like UI like it's the I mean it's great it's what makes like games really stand out like when you look at Invasion 2 and like the ability like his UI is wonderful
It's
and
a
it's
whole level of polish that is what makes a game look professional.
yeah exactly it like no matter what actually is the gameplay even like it's like presentation almost right it's kind of the packaging, the UI part
It
of it. And
provides information for the user to help them play through the level
exactly, yep.
without
So,
having to press a button to look at a different screen and then try to remember everything and then go back to the other screen or whatever.
yep. So even, and I think of that like everybody, whether you want to make 2D games or not, everybody benefits from a really good 2D editor, and being able to like have those like
So drag and drop of icons and text, stuff like that, like text boxes.
yeah, I mean anything that you could like think of that would help. Like we haven't landed like like if this feature should be implemented, it's not like figured out exactly what it would look like. And like obviously it has to be something that like fits in, and we still have to keep it like the accessibility, thing there. But yeah, it would be a huge thing to be able to really dig deep
And I
on
would
some
be
of this.
remiss if I didn't mention this because I know a lot of people have been waiting for this one since the beginning of like beta, where you could glue props together and have them count as one prop.
Yeah, so we refer to that internally as Glue 2.0.
I like
Um,
super glue better.
I love super glue. I want to like when if it if and when it's shipped, I want it to be referred to as super glue.
Or if super
Yeah.
glue is on a trademark, then you
So
can go gorilla
yeah.
glue or whatever.
So super glue is like a game changer for everybody. Like it's really hard, right? Like I think like the amount of utility that's in super glue. For those who don't understand what that is exactly, so super glue is the idea that when you glue objects together, they count like as a single mesh, and so like you basically super glue means you don't ever have to worry about a prop count again.
As long as you don't care about the brains being deleted of the objects you glue together.
Yeah, so technically you'd be yeah. But even then, the way that people use I don't know. The way people use props now, like you don't I don't know. I've never seen anybody need two
Oh,
thousand
I have.
500 objects in game
Yes.
with
And
brain.
just in one screen. I've seen them do it twice. Defco.
No, yeah, no. That's just the prop though. He doesn't need a brain on each
Oh,
cube.
no, no,
Yeah,
no.
that's what I'm saying. Like, so it's okay for him to. That's what like Glue 2.0 allows Defco to make a game like a full game versus a single screen game.
Exactly. Because
Um,
all that stuff is just superficial, just visuals, basically,
yep,
rather than
exactly.
mechanics.
I mean, and that's like, you know, there has to be like investigation on like, how much of an actual performance boost would there be, if you are able to actually merge these into a single item, that performance boost, is it as straightforward as we think it is, or, would hope it is, where, yeah,
Or is it just less than the total sum, but still not equal to anywhere near just one of them?
yeah, exactly. So I mean, those investigations and stuff need to happen. But it, Glue 2.0 is definitely it is really high on the list too.
But I mean, if we had games that were just cards and just UI for 2D, I wouldn't need that superglue so much as just the functionality of the cards and UI elements.
Yeah, but then I think there's tons of creators who would say would want the Glue 2.0 first before anything else. I think like there's definitely a good contingent.
I don't know, if you were to tell me that you could make cards and UI elements of everything that's already in Spark, I would want that over Glue 2.0. But I don't see that as being reasonable as much as I want to push for it. So I'm fine with Glue 2.0 as an interim thing.
As an interim thing. That'd be like the biggest feature ever released.
And I'd be like, it's good
You'd be
for
like,
now.
meh, it's not Warhammer. Meh.
It's not as much 2D support as I need. Yeah.
Mm.
All right. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to chat, and we're going to have a brainstorm session for whatever you guys want to talk about in the final moments. And while they're waiting for me to catch up with that, and because of the stream delay, Thomas, is there anything you want to talk about for the last moments?
Uh, no, I'll let chat take a look. I'm reading through right now what they do.
Well, it's pretty much just everyone's saying that they love super glue
Yeah, definitely. There's
and
no
dynamic
reason
lighting.
not to. I love the idea of it too. Um,
Dynamic lighting would be
I
interesting.
told you personally. Personally, though, I would still pick. For me, I'd pick 2D UI over Superglue. I really don't think though the community at large would pick 2D, 3D over Glue 2.0.
But that's fine. Me and you are here, so we count for everybody else.
That's right. Yeah.
And if anybody else wants their opinion to count, they have to be on the SparkCast with me. There's an open invitation for a community guest. So if you want your opinion to count and be used towards the roadmap, then you have to be on next week's SparkCast. That's the way it's going to turn out.
Yeah, I think next week we should do. If they're still in chat, we should do faultless.
Hey, listen, whoever wants to be on the stream is fine with me, as long as they have a webcam.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna pick on faultless because he's the one of our newest CAG members.
Oh, that's right. You guys added a few new CAG. Have you
Yep.
announced who those people are yet?
I mean, we haven't, and that's me. We're waiting on like our invites to be like accepted or not from some folks. But I mean, we have three that are confirmed so far that are already like added. So that's faultless, Ian Weathers, and Wacko 1571.
Oh, and Wacko's here tonight.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Ian is a slacker, basically. He needs to show up.
I'm trying to remember which time zone he's in. I don't know. I can't remember. He might be.
He's U.S. because he was the one person you didn't have to spend $1 million for shipping on the Game
Yeah.
Jam prizes.
That's right. He didn't live in Reunion Island.
All right, so
That's like my favorite thing. I love that. But
I
love
think
how he was like far away.
we've run out of topics for the evening then. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. Thank you, Thomas, for joining us. Thank you, everyone in chat. Um, if anybody want to continue this discussion next week, feel free to bring it up. But otherwise, I think we'll probably try to move on unless something comes up in the interim. So thank you, Thomas, for joining us.
Yeah. No, we'll next week we'll be for sure on I mean we'll be digging way more deep into you'll see all the content from like leaderboards. And I mean leaderboards are pretty fast to implement, so we really hope we you know with your the mini jam that's happening right now on .org, and then like we want people like day one like going back and like updating their levels to get leaderboards in there.
Will
We're
there be a
gonna
leaderboard feed?
yeah, that's like we're gonna pretty much on so what whenever that launches, um, we'll have we'll
Have a leaderboard feed soon after?
yeah, exactly. We'll get a leaderboard feed in there.
All right. So with that, we'll see you guys all next week. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, guys.
All right. So we're offline. You want to tell me a little bit more about the content pack coming after the leaderboards?
Yeah, I think you're trying to be sneaky again. Probably. If I remember correctly, I think Brian.
No, you heard the click. I clicked.
Oh, well, that's good. If I heard the click, then which one are you talking about?
The one immediately following leaderboards.
Isn't that Ari's pack?
Oh, you mean dungeons?
Yeah, that one.
I didn't actually stop streaming, by the way. But
I know. I'm just winking.
all right then. Good night, everybody.